all the way up to 2000. Okay, that's essentially, okay, so that 100 years. Okay, so we had our forefathers, or we had people who are born by that time. Okay, so those people, as you grow older, okay, as you grow older, you tend to reduce in terms of reproductivity power. Okay, so reproduction reduces. Okay, so you are approaching the death. Okay, so you are approaching the death, a kind of red light. Okay, so you must have undergone reproduction for you to live a certain type of people of yourself. Okay, so people are having children, because those people who have got children, they will never live in the next 100 years. Okay, so they have to perform the process of reproduction, which is some kind of a sex intercourse between the female and male, so that they can have or leave an evidence to say this type of people existed, because their genes, okay, or maybe their features, or the way they used to look like, they were left onto these younger ones, or the offsprings, in short to say. So reproduction is what represses whatever dies in a territory, or in an habitat, or everywhere in the society, okay, in a particular area. Okay, it's because the production is there and ensures that the population is maintained or balanced somehow. Okay, so from there now we move on to what is now called excretion. Okay, now we must be able to understand. When you talk about. We must be able to understand excretion is very important. Okay, so the reason why living organisms should be able to undergo excretion is because excretion is a process by which an organism removes, okay, toxic substances that are poisonous to themselves, and then also substances that are in excess. Okay, so the key concept about excretion is removal of toxic substances, and then also excess. Okay, okay, so so there are some mechanisms that are in place in order for this thing we are talking about to happen. So when you talk about toxic substances, we are talking about something that can kill our cells. For example, if you can ever imagine that if we are taking in carbon dioxide, right, and then we take in oxygen, and then we move, the carbon dioxide moves out of our cells or our lungs. Now imagine if that carbon dioxide was not moved out of our cells. Now imagine how many of us actually would die within a minute or within a millisecond of time. Okay, so there's going to be millions of people dying per second. Okay, so if carbon dioxide is not moved out of our cells. Now, why is it? So carbon dioxide becomes a toxic substance or poisonous to us. So we need to find a way of moving carbon dioxide outside of our cells, outside of our lungs, and so on. Okay, and then also when you talk about excess substances, okay, we are talking about something. When you talk about excess substances, right, we are talking about something that is not toxic or poisonous, but they are not just in their normal volume. Like we need a certain threshold, okay, for proper functionality, for proper physiology of our body. The body should be able to function properly. But nevertheless, excess water or substances, so the salts like sodium chloride, like water itself, or some of the substances must be also removed as part of our urine or as part of our sweating. Okay, so excretion is a very fundamental characteristic of living things, and it should be able to be part of this stuff, okay, because it gets to remove all these things. When someone want to, if you wanna, somebody who is trying to poison themselves, okay, so part of the organ, okay, part of the organ that is able to remove that is the liver is still involved in the detoxification of these, toxic substances, okay? But only to some extent, right? Not just that the liver is able just to 100% remove them, but depending on how concentrated they are, the liver is going to actually perform a certain part of itself just to help that person to survive. But otherwise, toxic substances must be removed, excess substances must be removed. So when you go to the toilet, you are going to urinate because part of the urine contains some of the toxic substances like ammonia, ammonia itself, uric acid, and some other nitrogenous waste that are deaminated as a result of excess proteins, okay? So excretion is fundamental. So why excretion is because toxic substance must be removed out of your cells, out of your lungs or organs. And then also excess water should be removed out, or salts should be removed so that there is a proper physiology function, okay? Now we move on to the second from the last one. Okay, so this is the second characteristic. The second characteristic from out of 7. Okay, so we are looking at N which stands for nutrition. Now, why nutrition? Now, when you talk about nutrition, is the ability of an organism, to actually, ingest some of the food. Okay, so we are talking about digestion actually. Now, why nutrition? Is because, for everything to perform so well, okay, so we must have a way of deriving some energy, okay. So nutrition comes in, okay, so nutrition provides, we have digestion, okay. When you have digestion, okay, and that this is going to provide us some energy. So this is going to provide us some energy, and then we have now movement, okay. Okay, and of course this is respiration. And then part of the energy is also used in reproduction. Okay. So now, all the living organisms, they need some form of energy, okay? They need some form of energy. So this energy can be derived from food, which we can call in general, like nutrition. So you get to eat the enchima, you get to eat some apples, some bananas, and everything. You get to drink some water and everything. So altogether, all this, we are deriving some of the nutrients, okay, that may ensure the proper functionality of our body, okay, or performance, or efficient performance. So we need in these nutrition quotes and quotes. So we have nutrition. We can have some vitamins, minerals, and then some even carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, and also even some other food substances, okay. So nutrition provides so many stuff, okay. So the major one is energy derivation, okay. So energy must be derived from this food that we are putting in. But anyway, so digestion should be able to take place so that only those nutrients that are necessary and also useful and also provide the proper functioning of our body should only remain in our body. So everything that we are not going to digest, okay, so that is called undigested, substances or food particles, they are going to be, dealt with under excretion, by the process of excretion. So you can see how each of these 7 characteristics are interconnected, okay, so they are like 100% dependent on each other. They don't stand independent, but they are over dependent, okay, so they don't just, this one works there, this one works there, reproduction works there. So it's like for everything to come to 100% functionality, they must depend on one another, okay, so they can never be growth minus nutrition, okay, so they can never be reproduction minus nutrition, which is giving us energy, or in short, they can never be reproduction minus respiration, okay. And finally, we are now going to talk about the last characteristic, okay. So the last characteristic, which is now sensitivity, okay. Okay, so now the last one is sensitivity. So this is very simple to understand. Okay, so like I said in the introduction, that when we are talking about sensitivity of any kind of an organism that you may want to talk about, is that sensitivity is a cardinal, kind of an element, inbuilt element in every organism, right? So without sensitivity, we cannot detect something is bad. We cannot detect that this is dangerous. We cannot detect anything that should be in the idea of protecting us. Okay, so if we can sense something that this is danger, then we are helping or increasing the chances of surviving, right? So sensitivity is something that can help us and also prolong our lifespan. Okay. Okay, so now sensitivity, you can just define it to be, more like a stimulus. Okay. So it can be defined as a stimulus, meaning when it's more like a kind of a coordination, something like that, okay? So for example, if you want to slap somebody, okay, so you want to slap anyone, for example, and then someone, they tend to close the eyes, like they kind of sense that this can damage my eyes, okay? And that's what sensitivity is all about, okay? So the closing of the eye is the fact that you want to protect the eye, okay, because the function of the eyes, right? So sensitivity is the greatest, I think, feature or characteristic of a living organism. But anyway, all these that I've talked about, they are interdependent. So these 7 characteristics, they form an interdependence kind of an hierarchy, okay? So an hierarchy, like let's say, for example, not more like an hierarchy, because when you talk about an hierarchy, for example, you get something at the top, down, middle, something like that. But these are more like a flat baseline where I start from this, I start from the other side. They all depend on one another, and that's how you can begin to understand this kind of 7 characteristics of a living organism. But nevertheless, ladies and gentlemen, that is how you should be able to understand the fundamentals of a living organism. So we begin by explaining what are each of those characteristics or features of a living organism. So if you're new to this channel, please don't forget to subscribe so that whenever I do post any kind of a latest update or video, you'll be the first person to be notified. Okay, so don't forget to click on the subscription button so that whenever we post, you'll be notified. Okay, so you can share this video. You can also share to your family and friends, and also even to some of your relatives. Okay, so whom you think they might also be interested in this video. So welcome to the end of this video, which is chapter 1 of biology. So next time we dive into now expanding from understanding living things, what makes up a living organism, characteristics or features or properties of a living organism. And then we will go now, start digging one by one. Each of these now we dive into the deepness of that. Okay, so make sure you do understand before you start diving into other videos that are very, deep. Okay, so that's it. This is the Radical Academy, and my name is Mike, and I'm the founder of Radical Academy. It's bye-bye, and I'll see you in the next session of the biology class. Okay, stay blessed, and bye-bye.